We got the dungeon for a backdrop today.
I like it. Look, my hair is matte. Now we're dope.
Working for the weekend. And I wanna see a
Show.
Show.
on the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go. There's a man over there into the music scene, showing lots of love.
We're live. Live.
To the community with great advice. I know who I should go see.
Show.
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 Show. Oh, yeah.
Looks like Kareem's got us some topics today.
Does he? Is he ready? Is he fired up? Hang on, I'll get to him.
The champ is here with a list of topics. So if you need one in a pinch, just let me know.
In a pinch. In a pinch. In a pinch. How do you like the dungeon backdrop?
I mean,
It's kind of gloomy, isn't it?
it's kind of gloomy, but
It speaks volumes for us. It does.
anybody suffering like crazy out there from allergies? Because
God, it's awful.
let me look at me.
It's awful. If I didn't have my glasses on, you'd see my
It's
ears.
so
These
bad.
swollen eyes.
Can't even breathe.
Puffy and yucky and icky and all those other E's. What's going on?
Not much. I have an idea. How do you deal when you're too popular and everyone just loves you and your event so much?
Oh my. Oh my.
What is that, Devin? I love that. I
May
think
we
that's
be
wonderful.
may we be able to say hi to some folks? Maybe.
Yeah.
How about Glenn on the YouTube channel? Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Glenn.
The Wanderers. Devin in the house. The Queen of Springfest in the Berg. What's up, Devin? Carrie, how are you, Carrie? Kareem. Megan Miller. Hi, Megan. Skip from Liars for Hire. What's going on? He says, hey to us. Hey, Skip. Roger, you hear me okay, Karis? I'm not hearing myself in my ears very well.
Oh, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
You
Well,
sound beautiful.
Thank you. Do I have my radio voice on today?
You have your radio voice on.
Yes. You're listening to WMOR. More with more. Yes.
What is that?
Get more with more. Yes. That was like a sticky FM voice, wasn't it? Hi, Devin. Oh, yes, Devin. Who's too popular, Devin? I wonder. Toy is in the house. Hey, I got to see Rockstar over the weekend, Karis. Man, what a party.
I
was a
saw
party.
Heather's post
Yeah,
giving them a big shout out, and I think that's awesome.
it was a great night. We had a great
Good.
time with them.
Good.
We did.
That makes me happy.
Met some other new musicians that we hadn't seen on Saturday, so got a chance. They hung out on Saturday with us to watch Rockstar. It was fun. Good
Nice.
time.
That's awesome. That makes
Good
me happy.
time. Devin says the love is overwhelming. It's Joy and Judgment Day today. It is not love at all. We don't sling love on this show.
I mean, there's love, but with love comes joy
and
and judgment.
of course it does. Hi, Bob Klein. What's going on? Look at that. Devin's excited for Rockstar Springfest. I did square off with them a little though. They're playing the night before they play at Springfest locally here. It's like, oh yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
That flies on one of our sticky papers.
That's
Sticks.
bad.
Yes.
What do we call it? Oh, that's a topic right there. That's bad. I don't know.
Back to back,
Maybe?
back to back within the same zip code.
Yeah.
Really, it's how it works. Hi, Michelle. She calls me Scotty. What's going on?
Oh.
Scotty. What do you got? You
Mr.
find some?
Bear.
Is Mr. Bear here? It's going to be Bear's birthday, right?
It's gonna be Bear's birthday, May 20th.
Oh,
My sweet boy suffers from dementia and Cushing's, so he has severe anxiety, and he can't be too far from me.
Our Chance had Cushing's as well. Yeah, poor fella. I hate that. Desolate says hi. Hi, Desolate. All right, let's get to it. Today, you drive the show, people. You're driving. Get behind the wheel because you're going to drive. Give us a topic. Give us several topics. We'll pick one and run with it. We may pick all of them and run with it. Hi, Dewey. Billy. Hey, there's Billy. I haven't seen
Hey,
Billy
Billy.
in a bit. How you doing, Billy? Chris Lee says Rockstar is a band, I assume. Chris, where have you been?
Rockstar is a band, a
It
very good
is.
band, a fun band.
They are. They are. Oh, Friday Night Band is playing the after party at Jane's.
You know,
Oh,
Kareem, if you
okay.
have the answer to that one, I have tried, and you just turn into the bad guy, and they just
What do we
make
got?
up reasons and then bash you on the internet.
How to give honest opinions to acts that need to get better. Yeah, they don't take it very well. Trust me.
They don't take it very well. I had one person that bashed me and all of like anybody that
was in a 3-county area.
It was so bad. I was like,
oh yeah.
And I didn't. I mean, I think what I said, I was like,
hi Pete.
Unfortunately, I just don't think you're ready. The band's ready just yet, but just give it time.
Not to change the subject, I've got to change this backdrop. I feel like
very gloomy. I feel like
we're in a tomb or something here. So let's go back to our light, at least. Another brick in the wall backdrop.
Kareem's topic was, how do you give honest opinions to acts that need to get better?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one, actually. But it's hard because people don't like constructive criticism, and I never try to be mean about it. But I did say not too long ago on the show about a band, the sound really was terrible. And I just had to say it because this band is really good and it ruined their night. And, somebody got really mad about that. So I don't know.
I've had one really great experience actually just recently, and I'm not going to name the band because they really were wonderful. It was not good. And but they took it really well, and they specifically said, can you please just be honest with us and tell us what we need to hear? And so I did, and they were like, okay, I completely respect that. We will get better. And I said, awesome, like hit me up when you do.
That's the way it ought to be, but
it doesn't always work that way.
Oftentimes egos get in the way. And
also I say this every show, this lack of reflection, awareness is crazy to me.
You think I can't even begin to get started on that topic because I agree with you so much.
I'm crazy. Like in shock every day on the Facebook by comments and just posts and who's an expert here and who's there and their shows, and I'm like,
and yet they're failing.
Literally.
Most of the time they're failing.
And it's fine. It's okay not to do, excuse me guys, I'm going to be rubbing my nose every 2 seconds. Some of us are I'm not good at singing. I'm not good at an instrument. I'm not good at a lot of things. So it's not that I don't try to keep doing it, but I'm aware of it.
Thanks, Megan. I appreciate that. I think Megan's spot on there. The band that can take constructive criticism and run with it and use it to improve the band are the ones that thrive. Yeah, and the ones who are on a pedestal, I think sometimes and don't. It goes back to last week. I mean, we talked last week about a topic and still didn't, I don't think, make the person happy about bringing the topic on. But we talked about the fact that venues are to blame too. Sometimes it's not all musicians that there's a problem with and that kind of thing. And we don't, the thing I don't want to do on this show is I don't want to single out venues and say, oh, this venue's horrible and this blah, 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 because somebody's striving to make a business. I mean, they're really trying, I think, many times. And, unfortunately they don't have the expertise to do that or the willpower to stay in it. I mean, people give up in the bar business all the time. They do. They sit at the bar and drink and they're just like, oh, another night in this place, But
my morning song. It is good.
Oh, who said that?
Billy.
Oh. Morning song is fire. It is.
I also, I'm going to leave it because
it's a hard topic. It is
because it's directed at
Kareem just threw the lure out there on the line and hooked us, I think, a little bit. And now we've spit the lure back out because I don't know that I want to go down that road today. Do you? I mean, there's so
No,
much
and you know
we
what's
could be
funny
talking
is
about.
some of the people that this is like referring to in my mind don't watch the show anymore. So I'm thinking that.
And why is that?
Well, I'm going to tell you, because not only is there, I tend to find that when there's a lack of self-awareness, there's also a lack of taking responsibility and admitting these things, obviously. You know what I mean? Because if you want to avoid the reality, you just don't put yourself in the reality. And that seems to be happening. And it is what it is.
That's
Bob
well
Klein,
said.
speaking of driving, how far are bands willing to travel on a regular basis for shows? Good question.
Anybody out there in a band want to tell us that, how far you're willing to travel? I had somebody reach out to me and they wanted me to do an event that was about a weekly event that was about an hour and a half from my house. And I just can't do that. I mean, that's too much. I mean, first of all, yeah. And you're going to spend as much in gas as your, I drive a big old gas hog truck and I'll be spending as much in gas as I will doing the show.
You know, this was actually a topic. We did this last year or whatever. And
Hi,
it
Nikki.
was, huh?
I'm saying hi to Nikki.
Oh, hi, Nikki. And what came with this topic was, well, depends on what the venue is paying us. And then my question to that is, well, now hold on. I understand that if a band lives or is traveling from a far distance, not local, and then that somehow lies on the venue's responsibility to cover not only their rate, but now their travel pay too, even though they're probably not going to bring much of a following because they're not local anyways.
Have you seen that as much as I have? That, I mean, there are some great bands out there in Cincinnati and Dayton, and you go just as far as coming from Cincinnati to Dayton. It's not the crowd they get in Cincinnati because no one really knows them here. And same way, vice versa. If I bring a Dayton band down to Cincinnati, it's gonna be the same way. And it's not anything negative about the band. It's just the nature of the business right now. People don't travel to follow you. They don't. Not very often. They don't.
Not really. You know, that's why one of the first questions I ask is, do you have a following in this area? I'm so happy you have a following in, Indiana or Dayton. And I think that's awesome. But rarely do they travel. One of my favorite bands is not even that far. It's like maybe a 30-minute drive from where they're from. And I have a tough time getting their crowd over to the venue. But they're really good. But, unfortunately, I don't think it is the venue's responsibility to cover your travel because they're not even going to benefit from having you there in the sense of, why would they choose, a local cover band in their town that they can't bring people opposed to an actual local cover band in their vicinity that will bring people.
Right.
And they don't, that won't charge. And, it's just
interesting. You said that too, because it's so true. And it can be the same caliber band and all that. I met a band not too long ago who works, and some of the people here will just shudder in their shoes when I tell you that this band works for $500 a night, which is fairly inexpensive compared to a lot of the bands nowadays.
Very inexpensive.
And they joked with me, and it took me back to an old adage a car dealer once told me. He says, if I sell a car $1 over invoice and I sell 1 million cars, I've made $1 million. That kind of thing. They get booked all the time. They're an average band. They're not, the cream of the crop or anything, but they're an average band that entertains the crowd, keeps people in their seats. They get booked all the time at that rate, where other bands get told by the same venues, can't necessarily have you because they can't afford you without a big cover and all those things. So it's an interesting tightrope thing here. And that's a good question that got thrown out there. The travel distance is amazing. I mean, some people will go all over. I know people that drive all over for $150 gigs, solos, and they do it and they like to do it. And if that's what you want to do, so be it. Who we letting in?
My dog to get some water.
Oh.
In the bathroom. Cushings, they drink a lot of water. what did somebody said, Dewey Cole, I admire Doghouse for pulling, and Doghouse, I struggled to book them because I was worried that they wouldn't bring their crowd, and they're an expensive band, and as they should be, because they're very, very good at what they do. But it works. They travel. But I'm talking about bands that are like 2 hours away, something like that. That it just doesn't. I have yet to see it make sense for me.
You brought an excellent band in from Lexington, Kentucky one night. And, it's an example. Nobody knew them, and it's a shame because they're a good band. And in Lexington, they fill seats all night long, but it's just no one's going to get in the car. Most people, I should say, when I say no one, somebody will challenge me, but most people won't get in the car and drive 2 hours to see their favorite band play and then drive 2 hours home unless they're going to spend the night or do something like that. It just
it's just
doesn't make sense.
I'm not.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I keep trying to bring bands from other places. I actually contacted a couple from Columbus, and I'm going to bring him because he's so incredibly talented and he's does play in a bar in Kentucky, but we share kind of similar Mansion Hill Tavern, one of my most favorite bars. And, I'm willing to take a chance on him because he's just phenomenal, like phenomenal. You got to blow me away though. You know what I mean?
Right. I got you. Well, that's a good one too. And Kareem had a second topic that he popped in there. Let me throw it up on the screen here.
You do, yeah. I mean, Evelyn, we both travel 30 minutes. I don't think 30 minutes is a big deal by any means. 30 minutes to me is normal. I'm just surprised that this one band that I book is one of my top 5 bands. I think they're phenomenal, and for some reason, their crowd just doesn't seem to want to drive the 30 minutes. Come on, Bubba.
Which is interesting. 30 minutes is not, 30 minutes is nothing. And in some big cities, 30 minutes people would laugh at, it's an hour and a half to get anywhere just because of traffic. But, Cincinnati, I saw somebody post today, if you're going to this concert tonight, just know I-75's at a standstill and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I mean, it can happen and it can affect your crowd and anybody else's crowd when something like that happens. But as for a band traveling, I mean, you travel as far as you want, as long as it meets your budget, and maybe it doesn't meet your budget, but maybe you want to branch out because you're tired of playing the same places over and over. And I get that too, because that's oversaturation.
Yeah. And I mean, there's certain bands that I will travel, an hour to go see, local that play at my place too. Because they're just so damn good.
Right. Yeah. So Kareem's other topic is, if you're writing a song about a person, non-public figure, is it proper etiquette to tell them? Oh, the Taylor Swift thing.
What's the Taylor Swift thing?
She writes songs about people she breaks up with, but but still, I mean,
I don't know.
Are you mentioning them, Kareem? Do you mention their names? I mean, there's a lot of songs out there that are written about people. Obviously, there's tons of them that are written about people that you don't necessarily know who it was. I mean, if you go back in time, look at the song Layla. I mean, that was, Clapton writing about George Harrison's wife at the time or whatever. I mean, it's interesting. Lee's
got a good, I think in general,
trying to get there.
I think in general, that is a rule that if you're trying to establish a fan base, then sometimes you do got to take a hit, because the bar is going to take a hit by booking you a traveling band.
Right. And you've had to buy, I mean, you've had nationals come in that you've put them up and you do all those things with their travel expenses and
right,
but that's a different story.
They're very well known though.
Right.
They have a traveling fan base. That's different.
Sure. Thank you, Chad Applegate, for being here. What do we say there? He was talking about Doghouse. You mentioned that one already. Devin says,
if you want to play outside of your normal area, you really have to commit to playing outside that area on a somewhat she want to see it twice a year. Yeah, Benjamin Waltz has a really good point there. He's saying you've got to really commit to do it and doing it more than twice a year, and you might have to take a hit the first little bit until you've established a nice following in that area too. Not, like we've said this 10 million times, it's not that the bars want to underpay you. It's just the bars have to be running a business too. And when you have a choice of booking a band that you know is going to bring in, I'm just using made up numbers, okay, are going to bring in 50 people and an extra $2,000, and they're local, compared to a band that you've never booked before that lives 2-3 hours away, that's going to bring just the people they've come with. And $0, I mean, come on. Either you're going to have to give me a break to try to establish for me to actually, work with you, because I'm losing all of this.
And can I say too, I mean, I've been on the end of running venues where people will call and they say, oh, my artist is doing a tour through the Midwest. He's
I get that every day.
Routing through your area, and he'll be there on these 2 dates. Can you fit him in? And blah, blah, blah. He's a Nashville recording artist and all that. And every time I gambled on that after watching videos and saying, man, this person's really good or whatever, I lost.
Yeah. Every time. Literally every time.
Yes. Lost money because I don't care who you are. I mean, unless you're the Grateful Dead and there's 7 buses of people following you around, it's not going to happen. I mean, when you're if you're not a superstar. Now, if you come through town and you say, oh, Vixen's coming to town, you're going to have people there. Kip Winger, you're going to have people there because they're well-known artists. But this guy that's an up-and-coming guy, maybe he was on The Voice or something or here or there, it just doesn't ever work.
Jennifer, I do have an implemented standard door cover. It's $5 for Fridays and Saturdays, and if I have a special event, but I'm still losing money. Like I'm still, it's not that I don't want, and I do try. Like I try them every couple of weeks. I try to bring somebody new in, but you lose money automatically.
I think this comment from Carl Bray is excellent. He says, as a fan of local music, and I know Carl, he's an extreme fan of local music. He would probably go no more than 20 miles away from home to see it. So there's an example of a guy who loves music, but he's going to take his choices closer to home. So if you travel and you're the band that you expect your followers to go with you, it doesn't always happen. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah. Mark Bransford brought up a good point, but he's realistic too. Crown Watts did it in Florida. The first few years were a low pay and light attendance, and attendance has picked up along with the pay every year. And that's how it should be. And that's what it is. It's not impossible, but it takes time, and you have to be real. And it shouldn't be the venue's responsibility to pay for your travel.
And our friends from Audio Graffiti, they go to Key West. I mean, there's people who do that kind of stuff, and nobody's paying for their route down there. They may pay hotel rooms, they may put them up. That's all up to the bar. But and when you're in a place like Key West, they have a built-in crowd too. That's the other side of it, that you're playing places. But I know where Mark's and Crown Watts has played there in Fort Myers area and Cape Coral and all that, and they're very fickle with their music, and it takes a long time to break into that. And now that they have, you can see the crowds are there, and obviously,
it's awesome.
First few times they were probably like, "Who's this Crown Watts band?" I mean, they don't know them.
But you know what? They also bring a whole lot of their local crowd too with them.
Yeah, they do.
So
make it a vacation. So that's cool.
It's a whole thing. So I just, again, I try my ass off to bring in these people from out of town, but I'm not going to do it if I'm responsible for paying their extra $300 for gas and room. I'm not going to do it because I'm already losing money.
Hey, will you answer Devin's question? I think that's a good one.
How do you balance having variety at your venue with ensuring you make money? Well, it's taking risks, which I try. You take risks. I'm aware that I have a lot of the same bands. I try once a month to introduce a new band, or once every other month. But there's a level that I'm, you gotta be able to sing more than 2 or 3 songs well for me to book you. And I'm not going to just book you based on the 3 that you sing well. It has to be, and it has to be a whole package deal. And I'm willing to give newcomers a shot, but they have to be at a step, like newcomers to the bar, a shot. But it has to be good. And like I said, there's a couple of people, bands that play mostly Kentucky or certain different areas that I'm going to be bringing in 2025 because I'm a huge fan of them, and I'd like to see if my crowd would really like them. But you know, they have to be willing to work with me too.
I'm reading some comments here, but
yeah,
got a lot of good comments coming in today on this and we're just doing a variety of topics. If you're just joining the show, guys, if you have a topic, throw it in the comments and we'll try to get to it with a brief answer or a brief opinion, joy and judgment, as we like to call it. But Ceris, Devin, I think that question was great from Devin because she is spot on when she's thinking that she's been in venues, and I know she can attest to this, that don't change it up or don't provide variety. And you can see it slowly decline and over time. And if you have the same 4 bands every 4 weeks and the same thing, then when something comes up, it's not like, oh, I want to go see that band. It's like, oh, there's another gig tonight. We're not going to go there because we were there last month. You know,
it's difficult, but it's also difficult because you want to book the best of the best. And there's a lack of music venues, but there's also, I've noticed a lack of, I'm not going to just book anybody. You know,
you can't because that's a roll of the dice that never wins. It is.
Right.
I mean, it really
you
is.
have to, there's standards that need to be met.
Absolutely.
And there's some bands that don't fit my stage as well. I can't tell you how many.
Thanks, Josh.
How many times I've brought in big, there's a couple like those big funk bands that have like 12 people or something in them. I love them. And a lot of people love them. But they play festivals and they play weddings because they're these big, it's like this big production, and it rarely works on my stage for some reason. It works for Second Wind and it works for Dat Band. And I'm trying again. I have another one coming in this summer, and I'm trying to book, which I keep forgetting. Sean, he's a trumpet player for one. I'm going to try with his too, because I keep trying to make it work. But for some reason, there's certain bands that work really well at the festivals, and there's certain bands that don't work very well in the bars. Sometimes it just doesn't cross.
Thank you, Toy.
I've had Cassette Junkies, and that's one of the bands that did not work in my bar. They didn't. Incredible band. It had nothing to do with their band. Their band was phenomenal. Phenomenal band. I had nothing against it. It just didn't work. That's one of those bands. And that has nothing to do with my venue or her band. It's just some things work, some things don't.
Right. And I got to give a shout out to Megan too. Megan sent me a picture
at what she does.
She was in one of our shirts, and I've got it to post. Megan, it's still in the queue to get posted, but yeah, we're going to get it up there, and I appreciate you doing that as well. So yeah, a lot of good comments on this one. I want to back up though. We had somebody say, and if I can find it here, I'm getting ahead of myself.
I just want to make sure Megan knows that I'm not insulting her or her band. I right. thought her band and her are phenomenal at what they do. I just want to make sure, because I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. That's important to me.
And that's a great question too, is why didn't it work? Because, I've seen that so many places, and I will tell you, I saw Rockstar Saturday night. It wasn't the most epic night ever at Heather's on the patio because somebody said it was going to storm, and people are just like, oh, we can't go to an outdoor event. It's covered, but people don't know that. And it wasn't the huge crowd that we're used to seeing on a Saturday night. And plus, they came from Cincinnati.
Right.
And now, if she would have said, oh, we have Spongeworthy, who's one of the local bands up here that draws, 1,000 people every time they play to that place, they would have been full, even though the risk of rain might have been there. So it's just, it's interesting what makes people tick and how they come to places and don't, and follow bands. And I don't know. I've seen videos of Cassette Junkies. I agree with you. I think they're great. And,
they are. They're a great band. Yeah.
What else we got?
I don't know
here?
why. There was like a couple. There was another couple that, I mean, like I said, some of my favorite bands, one of my favorite bands that's in my top 5 just doesn't seem to work. Like doesn't seem to work that well on my stage. I don't know what it is. I don't know why.
Soul Pocket. I agree, Kareem. They're just too many people in the band for a small venue. I mean, it is 12 people or whatever in the band. It just doesn't always work.
Oh, I'm just reading Megan Miller's.
I'm trying to get there. Hang on.
Well, let's give it another go, Megan. I'm booked for 2024, but if you think you've got something different, then I mean, because it's not like you guys weren't talented or good at what you do, you know? But yeah, I mean, shit, if you want to book for 2025, let's do it.
Isn't that amazing? You're already booked for 2024 and
I was booked for 2024.
It's crazy how busy it is now and what's going on with people and how many bands are out there. And she says, let's do it. That's good. See, great connection here.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Thank you, Stacy, for that. I appreciate that comment. Good to see you on here, Stacy. We miss you at Froggy's. We do.
You know, and then there's sometimes some really good bands. And I've said this before too. And people always ask, why don't you have this band play at your play at your venue? And it's, 2 reasons will make me not book a band back no matter how good they are. One, if they were unpleasant to work with as a band, if their ego was bigger than their talent, or their sound guy.
Boy, ain't that the truth. And you know, I got to give a shout out to
how good your band is, but
I gave a shout out yesterday on the show as we talked about, but I want to mention today again because Toy's on here and some of the Rockstar folks. The first time I heard them, the sound was a little iffy where we were and all that. And the same guy was running sound. It's Jason. And he has improved so much. His show, even Heather leaned over to me at the table and she says, man, the sound is really good. You can hear everything. Everything was clear. And so that makes it so much. I mean, so many people just brush off the sound part of it and they say we play well, we'll be, you know, but the sound is it. Without a good sound person or a good sound system, you're not gonna ever be as good as you can be.
No, and unfortunately, like Rockstar and I had I love their band, but we had issues with sound, and it really did not do their one of the nights any justice.
Hi, Bill.
You know, but I still have them booked because I still think they also agreed that something was off with the sound, but that doesn't mean just like Megan was saying, we all evolve. If you don't have an ego, then you are willing to take constructive criticism. And this is not about Megan Miller. I didn't anything about that. I'm talking about the sound guy has to also be willing to be like, this was not your best night, dude. I can't, it's got to be better than this. And Jason's one of those guys that can take constructive criticism.
He is very much so. And in fact, he asks a lot. That's the thing I like about him too. He says, are you hearing everything? Is it sound good? I haven't
seen him in a while though.
And
I haven't seen him.
He did a great job, phenomenal job Saturday night. And Stacy, I agree. I mean, you've been there, and anybody that runs a bar like Ceris's, like Stacy had at Froggy's and all that, where you have live music on the weekends and throughout the week, you've dealt with good sound and bad sound.
Yeah.
And some bands think they can pull it off from the stage and some do very well. But for the most part, you need somebody out there front of house to hear what's going on and to adjust based on the crowd and the loudness of the room and all that. And Jason was struggling to get over George's drums on Saturday night. George was playing the drums. He's under a tent. And man, those drums are just firing like rocket ships at your head. Yeah. And he was having to do some adjusting to get the vocals up and do all that. And he went back once. I saw him walk back to George and say, tone it down a bit, dude. You're beating those skins a little hard. And sometimes, people get caught in the moment. They don't realize they're doing that to the sound. So there's so much that goes into it.
The nice thing about Rockstar Band, from every aspect of their band, there is no ego. They are, there is absolutely no ego. So it's a pleasure. Oh, yeah. It's a pleasure to work with them, because if there is a problem, I can talk to them like adults and, I'm sure I'm considered annoying or picky, but it's my business and I'm going to be, but they take it. They do. If I have a problem, I tell them but also I'm building a relationship with Rockstar because I want them to be a part of the Bell and the Bear for a long time,
Well, they're part of the family already.
They already are.
Yeah.
And so that's why let's just perfect it. But, to handle the sound situation, I decided, come 2025, because I'm not going to, Jeff is going to be our house sound man, except for when he has his own show because he's a musician. So that way I don't have to worry about it.
And Jeff is great.
He's phenomenal.
And besides that, you learn the equipment you're using. And that's the other side of it. He learns the room and the equipment. I mean, Jeff, for anybody that can do sound at that jam on Thursday night, has got to be good at what they do. Because, I mean,
it's not easy.
You had Mongo there. You had Jeff there. I mean, they are all good sound technicians and good sound engineers. And let me tell you, and I've heard some other people run that, says Mark Bransford absolutely runs it like it's CD quality. I mean, he does so good. But it's a hard job, and each room is so different. And that's a big part of it, too. And we got off on a little sound tangent there, but
Dave Wade.
Jeff did awesome at Froggies a while back. Thank you, Joshua. Jeff's a great dude. He is. And Dave
Mongo is amazing. Yeah. The last thing Toy has is a big head. That's for sure.
Well, he has to have a pretty big head to hold that wig on that he plays in.
Oh, I know.
I got a great picture with Toy and Rick and another guy from Sugar Rock who's got great real hair, like David Coverdale hair, and then me. And it was like one of these things is not like the other. All these guys had big hair, and it was scary. Speaking of that, there is Rick right now in his wig. Yeah, how are you? And Dave Wade, thank you for being here. We love some Dave Wade too. So
I love everybody on this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. This is great to hear everybody's comments today.
Toy was a guest host for one of our Thursday jams. Did we talk about that?
You didn't ever mention it.
So good. He did so good.
Yeah, he killed it the other night. And I mean, I said on yesterday's show, there's a hole in the tent down there in the roof where he played Van Halen Eruption and blew a hole in it. I mean, it was so good. And there was a guy that was there, a guy in the audience. I wish you could have seen him, Carrie. He was that guy. I mean, every song he's up there taking video and screaming and woohooing. He loved them, and it was fun.
The people that love Rockstar, they freaking love Rockstar. It's kind of nice to see. It's nice to see.
Their set list is a trip, absolutely, like turning on MTV and leaving it on all day. I mean, that's what it was. It's all the 80s great classics. And
you know what's nice about Rockstar? I mean, I know we keep talking about them but what's nice about them is they have a set list that everybody knows, that are songs that everybody can sing along to, that everybody can dance to, and that everybody can enjoy. And I'm going to tell you what, I don't care who you are or how talented you are, 9 out of 10 times when people are coming to a bar to listen to live music and it's a cover band, they want to know the songs. They want to know. We all appreciate the deep tracks, but the deep tracks aren't necessarily good for a Friday, Saturday night. Okay? They're not good for a bar. They're not. And that's when your ego needs to be put aside. And you have to decide, do you want to play bars or not? And Rockstar has it down pat. And I'm not saying you can't have some deep tracks, but if it's all deep tracks, I'm sorry. There's a reason why people aren't on the dance floor.
Amen. And the songs they know and can sing along to, they're up and dancing and
they're up and dancing. They're fucking loving it, man.
Yes. And I love the fact, and I saw a band you haven't seen yet, Ceris, named Sugar Rock. It's a duo. Saw them earlier in the afternoon on Saturday. And they got to the venue, and it was Heather's. And Heather had a bridal shower going as well on the patio in a different little section than where they play music. They changed their set list on the fly because the bridal shower was going to be there for the first hour or so. They changed their entire set list to play a bunch of love songs and a bunch of stuff related to like the wedding and all that. They did a phenomenal job, and that's smart thinking. That's playing to the audience, you know.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was fantastic.
there's some bands that, you know, people go out and see, and I'm not saying and I want to make sure everybody knows I'm not just because like there are some bands that they're known for their deep tracks, and that's amazing. And they're booked based on that, and they have that following. But this is where self-awareness also comes along. You know, are you one of those bands, or do you just think you're one of those bands?
Yeah, I agree.
There's a band that I absolutely love that I used to book that I didn't book this year because they do. They do a lot of deep tracks, a lot of off the beaten path. You know I mean, people know them, but not as well, not as much as the songs that they could be choosing. And they raised their prices, and I was like, man, the appeal. I mean, it's just getting less and less because I already struggle to bring people in for the band. And now you're not willing to accommodate, you know, the patrons of this bar, which is fine. You don't have to. That's on you. But then shouldn't have to accommodate you either.
And I love what Dewey said earlier, and he was talking about Crown Watts, and Crown Watts is one of those technical bands. That's
different.
You have to like their music. You have to like some of that stuff that they do, and it is very technical. But Dewey said how they did the off night that you had at your place, the Moving Pictures show and all that, where they did the album, and that's a creative way for bands who like the deep cuts and all that to get up there and play. I mean, you look at Jamie Combs. So. Jamie Combs can play anything. But yet when he does his Pink Floyd show, I mean, they dig deep into the catalog of Pink Floyd. I mean, and there's a lot of songs that they play that most people who are the casual Pink Floyd fans are like, no, you know, I don't know that. Yeah. So that's the place for that kind of thing. But you're spot on. The bars and the venues I like to go to are the ones that book the bands that everybody's having fun singing along and enjoying the night and up there dancing. And it's a visual experience as well, you know, and I'll give Amy, the new singer of Rockstar. We were talking about Rockstar. I know I want to bring that up again. Amy just absolutely did a phenomenal job on Saturday as well. And you can tell she's new with the band. And she joked on the break. She goes, boy, I dropped a few notes there and blah. Who cares? You're trying. Those are hard songs to sing all night long. All those 80s high-pitched hair band songs are difficult sometimes. And she did a great job.
Yeah, she's getting better each time she performs. That's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I just think I like, so on Sundays I've booked it's going to be like, we're not calling it the Eagles, but it's going to be an acoustic Eagles show from the Eagles Project, but they're going to call it something else because they're going to throw in a few deep tracks in it. So it's going to be something, you know, called something different, but that's what it is. And we're doing that on a Sunday in my anniversary month, because my anniversary month is stacked to the max with incredible music. I'm looking forward to that because it's
going to be epic.
It's going to be beyond epic. And, you know, I mean, I would never tell Rick this, but, you know, or his girlfriend, because she'll probably just tell him. But I try to use him as much as possible because he's one of the most talented musicians in our city, and he's so versatile and can do a whole bunch of different things, you know? So he can do that. He can do the deep tracks. He can do the, you know, sometimes he leans a little too much on that side, but it's going to work for a Sunday. That's
absolutely. And that's the whole thing you want on those off nights and nights to bringing people in. And you mastered it with the voice competition. I mean,
that was so much fun.
You killed it. And that's the kind of fun stuff you do. And that's what I enjoy about different places who actually think about it and be creative and come up with promotions and not just, it's the same old open mic night every night. And it just gets old. It does
get old. But there's people keep saying, why don't you have more original music? And I'm going to say this again. It is so incredibly hard to have a bar and have a business as well with original music in that bar. Like we stated in this episode of the show, people want to know what they're listening to. That is when we make the most money. That is when the most people come out because they know what they're listening to. They can dance and they can sing along. And it's fun. And I'm not saying original music isn't fun. I'm not saying original music can't be good, but it's hard for me to make a business out of it. So one of the reasons I did the voice was to slowly transition into doing some sort of open mic, which would allow people to come and sing their original songs, which will slowly transition into me being able to bring in more original music to hopefully be able to be one of, it's so hard to do, but one of those bars that caters to both.
Right.
But no matter how you look at it, if you've never owned a music venue that does, that isn't like a Bogarts or something like that, it's not easy to make a living off of it.
Well, and so many people have tried to do even just one night a week and do like singer-songwriter nights and all that, and it ends up failing. And I don't know why, because there are some great singer-songwriters out there, and their songs are wonderful, but it's just not the attraction that you would get if you have something else going on that is more of an entertainment party. And and so many singer-songwriters want to put their soul into songs, which is fantastic, and write about life experiences, but typically they're slow, sad, that kind of song because of life experiences that people, that touch people's hearts.
And that's what's hard. And that's what I said, like when Courtney contacted me about this idea, she's like, let's, it was because it was going to be based on something like that. She wanted, an all women's thing, maybe like, so then I was like, the problem with is exactly what you just said. I said, people don't tend to come out. It's hard to draw a crowd with sadness for 3 hours, and you just you got to be able to offer a little bit more. And I love, some of my favorite music is that chill music that I hear, and I love it. But I have to separate business and my preferences, my personal opinions. They don't always go together, but if it works business-wise, so I'm trying to mesh it all together. What is this?
Mark Bransford's a smart dude. He is.
I could see that with originals. People want to sing along and dance. Kind of like a band growing the following out of town. I agree. The venue needs to lower the expectation initially and then build it over time if they so choose. I don't know if I'm agreeing. That wording is a bit odd. I don't know if.
No, I get exactly what he's trying to say.
Lower our expectations and what
of it being a knock it out of the park smash hit. I think is what the first few times you do it. It has to build. All those type of events have to build.
Absolutely.
I think, over time. And if you find out that there's 15 great singer-songwriters that come to your event, people are going to start showing up to hear their originals and hear that kind of thing.
Exactly. And that is why we did The Voice, because most of those people had original music, and, I'm bringing some of them back to open for certain bands, and they will play some of their originals, and that will slowly introduce more original music. It's going to take time, but we're going to get there. I refuse to not get there because I want original music in my bar.
You're never going to lose. I know you. You're going to go till you win and make it work. And if it doesn't work, you'll tweak it till it does. And that's exactly where it needs to be. And that's why you're such an innovator. And I'm glad you're on the show.
Oh,
well. You are. People give you crap about being opinionated and all those things, but you know what? Yeah, somebody's got to be in this business. Somebody's got to be a little opinionated, and somebody's got to give their thoughts, because I've had more people walk up to me at events and venues and tell me, I appreciate what you do on Tuesdays because I learn from your show. I pick up things. I talk to our band about those things. So I think that's what we're trying to do here, is try to give, it's just our opinions. If you have an opinion, you're welcome to it. You could throw it out there.
Just because and we're not saying our opinion is right.
No,
by any means.
Half the time it's not, but
it's not, but it works for us. And, I care, dude. Like I I care about the music, I care about the musicians, and I care about my business, and I care about you, and I care about it all. I know it doesn't always seem that way, but there's always reasons behind every little thing that I do. And do you know how many bookings these, like the musicians from The Voice made? That was the whole point. These people are, yes, of course, the business was great. These people made so many more connections.
Yeah.
And we had somebody bashing it like while we were setting it up. And they thought that I was pissed because they thought that I was mad that you were going to ruin my chances of having business in my bar. Honey, I don't mean to be rude or anything. That's not going to happen. I knew it would draw a crowd because incredible talent brings a crowd. But what you're doing is you're scaring people away from trying. And you should always, always have open doors and allow people to try. And if you're going to scare them from doing that, then you're a shitty person.
Well, and I'm going to leave you with this. It's very easy to sit behind a keyboard and judge and be opinionated and be lazy, because that's what those people are.
Yeah.
Lazy.
Lazy.
I want to look at them and say, buy your own bar and then kick everybody's ass if you're so good.
Just do it. Do it better than me. I fucking hope, I hope you do.
Yeah. Hey, we're out of time. We got long today.
Love you, Billy. Love you, Mark. Love you, Mario. Love you all. Love you, Scott.
Thanks, Ceris. Thought you were going to
Megan, contact me. We'll book for 2025 because I'm starting to book.
Wow. Never mind. Yes.
I love me some Mark.
I do too. Hey, thanks, Ceris. When's your birthday week? Next week?
No, my birthday is May 24th, and I'm turning 45, and Mr. Bears is May 20th, and he's turning 15. So I'm raising funds and things for animals in need, like anything and everything, 100% blankets. If you could drop it off at the bar or GoFundMe for the cash. I'm not trying to steal your money or anything like that, but if you have anything to help, this is the worst it's been for our furry friends, and it's sad. They are dying by the dozens, and if there's anything you can help with, I'd really appreciate that. Sorry.
Thank you. No, that's perfect. Thank you much.
He's laying down.
Bear laying down. Oh, there he is. Hi, buddy.
Working for the weekend, and I want to see a show.
We're out of here, everybody. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at noon, because I'm going to have Billy Watts on the show. It's Billy Rock Crown Watts combo. They're going to be on with me at noon on Wednesday with the band. And then Thursday, Who's Playing Out? Brought to you by our friends at Heather's in Springboro, Ohio. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here at All Around Town Radio.
Show.
For the music.